It's a Mosley Show. Thank you, Central National Bank. Thank you, C&B. Thanks for everybody who's part of the Mosley Show. The Baylor fans, there's a reason you can breathe easy today, and I'll be sharing that with you why that is. Because Kevin Hoosier Hall, Kevin, welcome in today. I might, for various reasons, be leaning on you even more than usual today, but we'll have a good show. And we'll run over some things, but man, Kevin's beloved Big Ten, one team just kind of sadly just couldn't score. Kind of, tried, was kind of hung around, but just didn't get it done. And then one Big Ten got it done in the most amazing of ways. And big. I don't look at all these games like some people do. Is like a mandate on the Big 12. Oh no, Arizona, they did not represent the Big 12. Whatever. I mean, I don't think we're now going to say the Big 12 is not very good because Arizona didn't play very well. But we will admit that Michigan went out and just put a dollywop on them. I mean, just kind of hit them with a haymaker and. They could not get a foothold in that game. Like I thought the foothold was halftime when it was like 48-32. I thought that was about as good. I thought that's about as good as it was going to be. And it's so crazy. We'll have Campus Confidential today. And again, when Scott Drew calls me later today, and he kind of probably wants to go over with me my thoughts on what he should be looking at in the portal and those sorts of things. I just would remind him that all these people in the Final Four, it's still okay to get really, really big. Now, Scott is more comfortable, and this year he left himself way thin at guard, all right? And I think they are going to flood. Baylor performs best when it has great guards, all right? They got to get back to that, and they will get back to that. But, Kevin, the guy you're just showing right there, Mara, Ade Mara. Okay, first of all, let me just be honest, Kevin. This is every day I come on now. I'm like, wait, I'm kind of getting familiar with all these Big Ten teams because they've been so good in the tournament. I knew he was good. All right. Now, I love watching and seeing where these guys started their careers. I think that's interesting because Michigan gets guys, they do get Big Ten people. Now, they'll get people like Yaxel from like wherever, but they also get people like within the conference. And I don't know how you can approach the portal and not study Michigan. Now you go Mosley, they have more money than everybody. Well, I'm sure, but a lot of teams have money. Let's not act like, Michigan's the only team with money in the portal. Come on. This is not like that. I mean, there's a ton of teams that have, look at BYU. BYU, where are they? Oh, they're not, they didn't get anywhere. They lost in the first round? Oh, okay. So, they had huge money. So huge, I think sometimes we're too dismissive of they just have all the money. So that's the only reason they're here. I don't know. Some of these teams that have a ton of money don't even sniff the Final Four. Kev, this guy, Mara, Ade Mara from, where's Ade from? Spain. I think he's from Spain. Whoa. Here's what I didn't realize. Like, I didn't know, Kevin, you forgot to tell me he had like the greatest hands for a big man ever. They kept throwing stuff to him in traffic and throwing stuff up, just like kind of, I'm like, wait, why would you try to throw that pass to your big? And that guy would just go up there and just like, and I wouldn't call him like, it's not like he's the greatest rim runner ever, but he is a guy that can catch the ball in traffic. Like in some ways, watching him, Kev, I saw characteristics that he has that are better than Edey and better than some of those other monsters.
There were two plays late. He would catch it like under the basket and somehow be able to flip it up and still get it in there. It's crazy.
And Kevin, those dudes they were bringing in, like McKinney, like, wait, who is this? And I've seen him earlier in the tournament, but he's like a freshman. He doesn't start. It's like, okay, let's bring this guy in. off the bench, and he's just hooping, just hitting threes. The other thing, Kev, is like a team like Michigan, a team like Illinois, for instance, they seem to function best with one kind of normal size point guard, right? Like a 6'2". I don't. How tall is Cadeau? 6'1" or 6'2".
Yeah.
And then everybody else is just big. Like, now there were dudes coming in that game that were 6'4", 6'5", but I always hear people say, well, you can't get guys to come in the portal if they're not going to start, or you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, I looked at Illinois' roster, and I looked at all these rosters, and most of them go 8 deep. They're playing 8 dudes, and they're all good. Like, even that Michigan, I mean, Illinois didn't have a great game, but they had some kid, I thought he was international like the rest of them, Kevin. Then I'm looking, he's from like a little small town in Indiana. And his name's like, if I said it, you would remember it. It's like, he has an interesting sounding name. It's almost like Hamachora, or not Hamachora. But he's like the 7th or 8th man off the bench. But he can hit the three. But he's big. He's tall. Like, they had one dude, and he's like a big built guy. Kevin, you know what I'm talking about? Boswell.
Humrokas. Humrokas is the guy from Illinois. It's from Indiana.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Well, that guy, he's good. He came in and hit a 3 or 2, a couple of threes. The way they build those teams in the Big Ten, though, man, they might have one like smallish guard, right, and then they just surround them with giants.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at Michigan, you got Morez, you got Mara, Yaxel. I mean, you're sitting there 6'9", 6'10", 7'2". I mean, you're whoa, like, who are they? I mean, everybody's coming at us like in waves. So again, you can't build every team like, oh wait, they just won the national tournament. Let's go build our football team exactly like Indiana. Oh, let's go build our basketball team just like Michigan. But you can learn. You can look at things like that. Wow. You live by the 3, die by the 3. Illinois, just Visic brothers, I love them. Merkovich is great. Stojakovic is awesome. You're just going to have a game, and unfortunately, it happened in the dadgum semifinals. Kev, you're going to have a game where it's just not there. You just can't find it. I mean, they had weird moments in that game where the ball would just stay up there on the rim for like 4 or 5 seconds, like just weird stuff.
That was a wild shot. Almost did a stop on the joint
like
there. It's crazy.
Yeah, like a wedgie without being a wedgie.
Right.
It just stayed up there and then finally came off. I thought they were very unlucky. UConn played great defense. I don't want to try to take it away from UConn, but hey, good on UConn, because I thought that hangover might get them. Yeah. If anything, I was looking at it the wrong way. If anything, it made them more like, we're playing with house money. We really had a miracle shot to get here. We can go play loose. Braylon had a really good game.
He kind of bookended it, because he had a really good start to the game and then went real quiet there in the middle and then came up with a couple good buckets at the end.
How about that dagger? I mean, they had gotten it to either 4 or 6. Did they get it to 4 with like a minute and a half or 2 minutes to go? I mean, it was a game. It was a game, like a minute and a half to go, and I think they got it to 4. Braylon pulls up, hits 3.
Yep.
Now, he banked one in earlier. At some point, you're like, okay, Braylon. All right, buddy.
Yeah,
he had how cool that is to be in Indianapolis, and just all his parents and family, and everybody from that Greenfield, people he didn't even met are claiming Braylon.
Yep.
I mean, how many people in that arena the other night are claiming some connection to Braylon Mullins?
Right.
I would say like 500 to 1,000 people were going around saying, yeah, I saw Braylon. He played against our high school, or my son played against Braylon when he was like in 7th grade. Like everybody. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because there's still enough people that get in there. It is sort of a corporate crowd. But all All right, Kev, let's, and again, we can come back to all this in Campus Confidential. Kevin, it is looking like tomorrow that we may get Gary Patterson, the new USC defensive coordinator. That'll be fun if we can make that happen. I've been talking to him. He thinks he can do it tomorrow, so we'll stay on him about that. I got to look. We may have Bryce Cherry later in the show today stopping by because there's a bunch of Baylor stuff to talk about. Baylor did lose in the Crown. I watched it. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I'm glad they, it's fun. In some ways, it kind of keeps the team together a little bit longer. Maybe gives Scott and them a chance to bond. Maybe it makes Tunde and Carr think about. I do think it kind of reminded me of some of the things Carr is going to have to do, even if he goes to the NBA, as far as getting stronger, working on his shot. It's just, it's not always sustainable to shoot the ball from 25 to 27 feet. I mean, he's got so much athleticism, and he can shoot out there, but when it's not on, it can get a little bit, and so then he has to go to other stuff. And again, he did some really fun stuff in that game, Tunde too. But they each had about 15 points, and he missed a whole bunch of shots. All right, I'll be excited to have Isaac back, and then it'll be good to move on from some folks. Kev, at some point, Gus Johnson in that game, I don't know, Kev, you probably had some things you were doing to get ready for the Final Four that night. But at one point, Gus Johnson said of Michael Ratai, this guy can make plays in space. He's like a point forward. He can handle the ball in space. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, man. I don't know. Maybe we're just being very generous. But whoa, that right there, that was some interesting stuff to hear, because I have not seen just a ton of evidence of that. All right, Kev, we've waited 22 minutes. Let's play the breaking news sounder, and I want to make sure. Pete Thamel of ESPN. Kevin may have seen others by now because people have been all over this story. But I saw it first to Pete Thamel from ESPN. North Carolina intends to hire longtime NBA coach. They've already put the AI, man. It's pretty awesome. They've already got the UNC pullover on him. North Carolina intends to hire longtime NBA coach Michael Malone as the school's next basketball coach. He's an NBA championship coach with the Nuggets from 22-23 season and has won 510 games as an NBA head coach. Wow. I love Michael Malone. Now, I was, for weird reasons, I was in on that Nuggets team early, even before, kind of in the early days of the Joker, the big man himself. I even used to kind of like him when they had Gary somebody Jr. I think the kid played at Michigan State. They just had some young, and of course, when Jamal Murray got there, that changed a lot of things. That team just started to fill out a little bit. And they got Aaron Gordon and some others, but that's a great team. What I was trying to remind myself of is, where did Michael Malone go to college? The answer to that question is Loyola, Maryland. When I see that, I want to say Marymount, but it's not. It says Loyola of Maryland. All right. He started his coaching career at Friends School of Baltimore. Then he went to Oakland, Providence. So he used to be an assistant. He was an assistant with Manhattan from 99 to 2001. That's Manhattan College. And then he started his climb up the NBA mountain. Had a coach with the Sacramento Kings, and then had a really good run with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, it's not Billy Donovan, because with Billy Donovan, even though he's been out for a while, you would be getting a monster college coach, a guy that, they win back-to-back titles there at Florida. I mean, he was unbelievable for the Gators. I love Michael Malone. I mean, I think if you can coach at any level. And, of course, with the pay-for-play model that we now have, maybe more than ever, an NBA coach is either needed or should be able to succeed at the college level. I'm not going to call it. I don't think it's the perfect fit. I really don't. Is it a better fit for UNC than like Byington, who they were talking about bringing in from Kevin? Is that the Vanderbilt coach? Only in the sense that the UNC people think they either need a Tar Heel person or they need a huge name. Now, the reason I said Bears can rest easy is because Scott Drew's name was coming up more and more. And once you got past Dusty May wasn't going to do it. Tommy Lloyd got an extension. He was not going to do it. He was going to stay at Arizona. It kind of got down to, I say down to, I mean, the next level is incredible, but you were kind of back to thinking like Otzelberger, Scott Drew, Byington, who's been really doing a great job. Those were the names coming up. I think Scott, had he not had this really uncharacteristic, awful season, probably would have been an even more attractive candidate. Won the national title in 21. 22, they were a number one seed. He's had an unbelievable run at Baylor. And I think probably now with Scott, I mean, he turned down Kentucky. There's nothing for certain that says he would have taken the UNC job. Is it a great job? Yes. Is it a better job than the Baylor job? Well, okay, yes, but in some ways not, because of course the Baylor people, other than, the people that are just kind of mad at everything right now and know they had a bad year, for the most part, Scott has been able to name his future there with the Bears. At UNC, it's just hard to afford taking a step back or having a bad season and all that kind of stuff. Scott, but because of what he's done and because of his track record, he's okay doing that at Baylor. You can take a step back. But anyway, I mean, you don't love it, but it happened. And now it appears that Mike Malone is going to be the head coach there at UNC. We got all kinds of trades going on. We even have WNBA breaking news earlier today, but wanted to get you this one. Kev, as we get ready to do some Campus Confidential here in a little while, what we'll do is we'll have moments each day coming up because that portal's about to go wide open right after this game tonight, and then it's going to be the Wild West. What we've seen today, Kev, is just a huge amount of announcements with the players hitting the portal. Now, Kevin, I want to, as you get ready to do Campus Confidential, bring up as many of those as you want. Later in the show, I may take a look because there's one dropping every 5 minutes now. I may take a look and I'll kind of start working through who the portal players are that I think mean the most to you guys? I will say, Kevin, of Big 12 interest, Lawan Watts is going to explore the NBA from Tech, but he's also put his name in the portal. And what does that mean? Well, he was good for Tech, not great. Okay, he started for him all year. I mean, again, I don't think they whiffed on him, but I don't think they're getting ready to break the bank over keeping him. I think that's a deal where they say, Lawan, we really love to have you, but we understand if you want to go out there and explore. All right, you don't treat him like you would treat JT Toppin in the past. Like, JT, we'll do whatever it takes, but we need you to stay right here at Texas Tech. Texas Tech has a couple of players like that, Christian Anderson being one of them. Christian Anderson should be able to both explore the draft, and I think Tech would, make him an unbelievable offer to come back and to help them moving forward. So those are some of the things that are happening. And then, Kevin, is there any big, going into the nice championship game, before we get to Campus Confidential, any major news? Oh, Kev, what on status reports, and we'll do more of this in Campus Confidential. Yaxel, I thought that was a very interesting story over the weekend where he had to leave that game, had to leave the game twice. There he is. Didn't look great. I was glad he didn't. At first, I thought, oh, did he hit his head or something? But no, it was the ankle. He has since said that his mom and his agent, sign of the times, Kev, said don't go back in. And he didn't have to. They were blowing Arizona out of the building without him. That's how great that team is built. You know, Kevin, I sometimes hear coaches, and they've said it on this show, like, well, if you lost to Tom Brady, you would be, and all that. Well, I mean, is anybody on that team better than Lindeborg? I mean, if we're going to have the argument of who's the best player on that team, I don't know. He was player of the year in the Big Ten. Pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. Did they miss him? They're just built different. And you know what? And I don't know who to blame this on, Tommy Lloyd, Big 12, whatever. Kev, there was a level of physicality and force and shot making and great coaching that Tommy Lloyd and the Wildcats were not prepared for. And again, if they played again, maybe it would. I mean, I could see it being I don't know if Arizona would win, but I could see it being a much closer game. On this night, Michigan just said, nah. And, you know, Kevin, think about how many times when you see a player go out, especially early, of this magnitude, it sort of takes it out of a team. Kev, if anything, the team rallied around his absence. I mean, I'm trying to think who else. Morez, Mara,
Cadeau. Cadeau had a double-double with assists.
Yeah, but although we found out later, Cadeau had a bad shooting night. You've read, haven't you, Kevin, like why they think that was?
What's that?
Well, and this is and we could get more into this in campus, all right? We're going to have an extended campus today. Dusty May was extremely concerned with Krivas and Arizona's height. So the story goes, now sometimes these things almost are too good to be true, right? When you hear something like this. But people kind of during the game wondered why Elliot Cadeau kept going in there, and he was kind of missing those layups, or not even layup, but just shots pretty strong. Like he was missing a lot of them, and you're kind of like, what's going on? Come to find out, according to Dusty May and others, actually one of his assistant coaches, Mike Boynton, told this story. He said, Kev, that they thought they were going to have a hard time getting the ball to their bigs. So they told Cadeau to go in there and miss high off the backboard, and they would get those backside rebounds. So I don't think Cadeau shot it as poorly as we all thought, as his stats would suggest.
It was
The
just
stats suggest he was 2 for 14 in that game.
So what we need to do is add to his assist game then.
Oh, hey, Kev. Like
if that was just a glorified assist, there you go.
Some people call those Kobe assists. I think
go.
he used to do some of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Dusty, now when you get to this point, everybody's going to say, right, you're a genius. These coaches are geniuses. We already knew that hate him, love him, hate him, whatever, that Dan Hurley was. Did I send you that thing, Kev, over the weekend about his wife having to leave the other night and get a police?
I saw that, yeah.
Dan Hurley's wife, who seems like she's got to be a saint to live with Dan Hurley, but she seems really nice. She seems like a great balance for him. But he showed up at the game without his beads, his like good luck beads. Now, is that a religious thing, perhaps, Kev? Do we think those beads? I don't know.
Usually, I would say that those are kind of like the rosary kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know, but she leaves the site of the game to go back in the hotel room, get the beads, and they gave her a police escort back.
I heard about his jacket that there may be a reason it was falling off one shoulder. It needs tailored pretty good, but he's not going to do it until the season's over. Well, one way or the other, the season will be over tonight.
Kevin, did I tell you that story? I don't know if I told it on air or not. I went to a wedding after Christmas, and I have a suit that I wear. It's my main, funeral and wedding suit. It's a good suit. It's a really nice suit. I got it a few years ago, and I don't think it happened because I was dancing. It probably happened. I don't know why, how in the world this happened, but Kevin, the back of the back end of the suit. At some point, my poor wife looked over, and fortunately, I had whatever boxers.
We're not okay. So we're not talking about the blazer. We're talking about
the pants.
The pants.
The pants just literally just ripped apart at the seam, like at the back. And so, and I don't remember.
That's a good party right there.
I don't remember doing anything too crazy with any moves or anything. But I went out there on the dance floor and danced with my wife. But I mean, like now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I could have been just flapping. So anyway,
you feel a breeze.
The father of the bride was my old college roommate, and he happened to be standing back there by me. And I said, his name's Stacy Williams, and I said, "Look at this." And he, of course, got a big kick out of it. And I backed out like one of the doors, and we went on home. We'd had a nice time already at the reception. But Kev, later this week, sir, I need that suit, and that suit's not ready. So I got to figure some things out. All right. I'm sure I'll find a way. It is the Mosley Show. It's been a very eventful day. Kev, let's do some Campus Confidential because we got all this Final Four. We got tonight. And Kevin, at some point, my gosh, we may need to leave the whole 2:00 hour for this. But we've got Gino versus Don Staley. We got Gino to talk about. I mean, that's going to have to happen. We have to have this conversation. And I think Kevin and I kind of disagree a little bit on this, but I tend to think Mr. Gino was in the wrong here. We will discuss later in the program. Campus Confidential is next.
When you strive for greatness, you have a target on your back. When it comes to finances, we're all targets for scammers. But with the right game plan, you can protect yourself. Don't get faked by fraud.
Here's a tip. If you receive a call from someone claiming to be from a company, don't give them your personal information, ever. Unless you know them personally, hang up and call the company back on a verified number. This message is brought to you by Central National Bank.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
Bubble wasn't here. I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
All right. It is, well, we had guest Kev, possible guest, getting back to us about something. But dude, we've had so much breaking today and all, and I'm kind of looking into some different things we were going to do. Next week, let's see. Ashley Hodge is flying back, and he may join us tomorrow to talk a lot of Baylor stuff. And that'll be great. Gary Patterson may be on tomorrow, the new USC defensive coordinator. Mitch Thompson coming off the Bears, winning 2 out of 3 against BYU. That's 5 out of their last 6 in Big 12 play. And I guess I'll probably get accused, Kevin, of jumping on the bandwagon. Last year I had Mitch on really, I don't know if it was weekly, but I had him on kind of throughout the season. We had some great visits. We didn't set that up this year, but I love it when Baylor's doing well, both softball or baseball. Kevin, I think I saw the softball team was in some kind of 15-inning type affair, or like it went forever. And Kevin, you've been out there. You've spent a little time around the softball program. I think a Baylor pitcher threw like 226 pitches or 222. It's okay, folks. It's the underhand. It's not. She's going to be okay. She'll have to rest it. She'll have to ice the arm. But fortunately, that does not. If you're on a roll and you're pitching beautifully, you can leave them out there in softball. It's a lot. I don't know. I mean, that game went a long, long way. I need to do my research, Kev, and see, how if all those pitches came in like one crazy game or the weekend. I saw that and then I moved on to something else. But I remember thinking, wow, that is a wild scene. Let me look at this, Kevin. We're having We're having all kinds of people reach out to us as we speak. Oh, good. Kevin, at 2:30, we'll plan on the fly here. Bryce Cherry's going to stop by because there's some Baylor stuff I kind of want to get into with him. Now we do know that Baylor will hold on to Scott Drew. They're hiring Mike Malone. UNC is. And Kevin, just so you'll have that fresh, I'm sending you Bryce's. Gotta make sure I don't tweet this out or something wild. My head's not in a great place right now. I don't know when it ever is. Kev, I just sent that to you. So about 2:30, we'll get Bryce to stop by and visit with him about some things. I got to say, Kev, and we're getting ready to start Campus Confidential. In fact, Kevin, put it up, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you here in a second because I love it. I love where you taking us around wherever we want to go, and then if it spills over, we may do some Don Staley and Gino talk. Gino Auriemma. Come on, Gino. Just, you lost. You lost the game. We don't need to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she should have met you before the game somewhere or whatever, but I don't. It was not a good look. Kev, the one thing I'll say real quick before we start campus is that I'm glad Scott Drew's name came up. Because as bad, and nobody hated this year more than he did. It was awful. They had everything go wrong. They had injuries. They had Rob Wright. They had a ton of stuff go wrong. But, I think some Baylor fans needed to be reminded of this guy's track record. What was happening at Baylor before he arrived. We all know that. We all know that story. But, when you have a bad year and you have always great, huge expectations for Baylor basketball, it's tough. It's tough. And you don't want to blow it off and go, oh, they'll be back. They'll be back. But Scott's name being attached to the UNC search is healthy. It's a healthy thing. It's a good reminder. This guy is still incredibly valued out there by people who know hoops. All right. So let's not lose our minds and let this thing get away from us. All right. Kev, it is time. Boy, thank you, C&B. Thank you, Central National Bank. Thank you, Brian Fonville. Thank you, Joe Nesbitt. Thank you to the whole C&B family out there. Tremendous stuff. And we got all kinds of stuff coming up. We've got, and we'll be at, by the way, Brazos Landing for a live show on the 15th. And then, Kevin, I'm starting to tell, and I'll let everybody know where this is going to be and stuff, but we may be involved in Pete Souza and I'm going to get details to people, but I think there may be something really cool connected to the NFL draft. So I'll have more details coming on that. Now, Kev, what do you have for us in Campus Confidential?
Well, you know how ironic I find John Calipari suddenly being the voice of reason within college basketball, but he had quite a few things to say over the weekend at the Final Four. This is what he had to say on Get Up with Greeny.
I believe that college basketball right now is in a healthy place.
No, and it's not sustainable what we're doing. But here's what I would say, Mike. We're taking our eye off the ball. Let's worry about 17 and 18-year-olds. They're not being recruited anymore. I'm waiting for a 30-year-old who's got 2 kids and is on his second wife. We're worried about European players who we don't know if their birth certificate is right or not. We don't know if they're 18 or 35. We don't know. They play on a professional team in Europe, but we're told they're not professional. Why are we doing these things to our young players who are 17 and 18-year-olds? And you may say, well, the game is better right now. What if it were your son that worked and trained and he's 17 and 18? He should be getting a college scholarship and he doesn't. What if it were your son? How would you feel about that? Would you feel it's still okay because the game is so good? We've gotten away from what we're doing. They should be able to leave when a coach leaves. They say, well, a coach leaves. Yeah, the minute a coach leaves or gets fired, they can go wherever they want to go. They should have one time that they can go because they made a mistake or the coach made a mistake. But after that, you got to sit out. Why? Because we're trying to be transformational. Why are they leaving 4 different schools, which means you're not going to get a college education or a degree? They're leaving for money. Well, let's put some guardrails. And before I leave the game, I just want to make sure, if I can be a part of it, that we don't leave it this way.
I will take it from there. He also mentioned in another space the mental health problem that may arise as these players are making, $500,000, $600,000 per year, and then suddenly they're not able to go pro, and then they get offered $60,000 a year at another job, and they're going, "What is this?" So, what are your thoughts? How does it get fixed if it needs fixed?
It's a funny voice of this. Some of the stuff he said, it's not wrong, although he doesn't recruit people like who he's talking about. The 17 and 18-year-olds who are missing out are not anybody he would recruit. For all those years at Kentucky, he was the greatest. He's the greatest one-and-done recruiter in the history of college basketball. So he's sort of, but again, that doesn't mean that he can't use his platform to take up for others. So I don't have a huge problem with what he's saying, but what you said earlier is what I tweeted about the other day or something, is kind of along the lines that you said how ironic it was. I just thought like how far have we gone? How far, maybe the wrong direction when Calipari sounds like the moral compass. When like Bruce Pearl steps up and is trying to voice. Now, Bruce Pearl embarrassed himself based on some of the stuff he said about Auburn. Hey, congratulations to them, by the way. I think they won the NIT, so way to go. But Bruce, I think his messaging on some stuff was just weird. Coach Cal, I think probably he's a big enough name that I don't really have a problem with him, trying to be a voice right now and in trying to stand up. I think Izzo feels like he is a big voice and a steward of the game, so to speak. But it is odd because we were trained, Kev, and you don't mind when I point this out because you kind of feel resentment toward who I'm about to say because of his time in Indiana. But we were taught that Bruce Pearl and Kelvin Sampson and John Calipari and even Bill Self and were kind of that they were cheaters. And then later Sean Miller and Will Wade, but they weren't as early on as some of those other guys that were being accused or whatever. It's odd. It's a big leap for longtime hoops fans like us to now view these people as, well, he's kind of the voice of, but listen, Kelvin Sampson can flat out coach, and he has become one of the elder statesmen. And quite honestly, Kevin, when you go to a place like Houston that had been out in the wilderness for a lot of years, for going on 15, 20 years, probably more than that, but probably more like 25 years, and you do what he's done. And what he's done is now he's on the verge next year of taking a team to the Sweet 16 for the 8th consecutive time. That's unbelievable. That's a program, that's coaching, and that's doing it at a place that had fallen on hard times. So what Kelvin's doing at Houston isn't quite as dramatic as what Signetti did, because Indiana basically had no football history. Again, even Scott Drew, I think people are very dismissive of Baylor's basketball history before Scott Drew. They did have some great players over the years. They actually had some incredible teams. But as you said, Kevin, the Drew thing might be a little more like the Signetti than the Sampson thing at Houston, because, again, while it was 25 years removed, U of H with Phi Slamma Jamma, and then even going back before that with Elvin Hayes and Calvin Murphy. Calvin played at U of H too. I'm just thinking about all his years with the Rockets, and I think I just assigned him to the Cougars. You may want to strike that. But Elvin was there, the Big E for sure, and he was incredible. Actually, it was Otis Birdsong was there, Elvin, and then on those teams in the late 60s, early 70s. But boy, Guy V. Lewis from about 1966 to 1986, whatever his run was, whoa, man, he got it done. The great Guy V. Lewis. All right, Kev, what else do we have, sir?
All right, these are the teams that made both the CFP and the NCAA men's basketball tournament. What do you think this says? What does this communicate, that these schools were able to do that, but no others?
Okay, you're leaving out, so we're not doing women here.
Right.
Okay, we're just doing men. Well, I mean, there's not a school on there that's not making a large financial commitment, although, Kev, let's remind everybody, Georgia in the first round got run out of the building. They got beat by like 35 or 40 in the NCAA tournament by, golly, it wasn't anybody. It wasn't like a natural power, was it? It was somebody that was like, whoa. I mean, they just stuck it to Georgia. That's impressive in some ways because, oh, hey, Scotty B. Scotty's out there. Scotty's out there watching us on YouTube, reacting. If you're watching us on Twitter today, thank you. Go ahead and go subscribe to the YouTube page. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. I was trying to, at a family event earlier, Easter, Kev, or maybe the day before Easter, I was kind of trying to walk some of my older relatives through the YouTube. It's always like, no, Matt, what are you doing now? And it's always a little bit tricky. But we're on YouTube every day, 1 to 3. That's really the main focus here. Kev, I would say of those programs, at least, wait, who's the Ohio State coach now?
Basketball?
Yeah, who went there? I was just trying to think to myself, which of these schools also have a very upward trajectory in basketball?
Jake Diebler.
Who?
Jake Diebler.
Okay. Where did he come from? Do you remember? Anyway, I would argue everybody, I think we're probably, the verdict's a little bit out on Georgia. So, Kevin, back to your original question. I don't know. I think certainly it's a financial commitment, although on the huge football schools, A&M, Ohio State, now Tech, Alabama, Georgia, and Miami, I still think, most of the money is going toward football. Which of those schools, so I'll ask you a question, Kevin, which of those schools do you think is getting the most basketball money, men's basketball money. And think before you say it, because I kind of want, like, I would be very interested, like, now that the Ags have even had some success and they've given him an extension, boy, they do not mind spending money. Do you still believe that Alabama, if you believe this, do you think Alabama outspends those other teams in basketball? Because they do have a great team, and Oates is a great coach.
I think given recency, it would be hard to argue that Tech is not giving the most amount of money to all of their programs. They give $1 million to a softball pitcher.
Yeah, but I mean,
you're telling me in the Big 12, they're one of the top, 3, 4 teams in the Big 12, you would say? That they are not one of the top spenders with all of the money that goes into all of their other sports?
I think they are one of the top, but like the women's coach was just complaining about not getting any money. And so I'm just wondering, I don't know. That's a good, I'm not saying you're wrong. It could be Tech, but here's how I would say it right now. I'd say Alabama spending the most on their men's basketball program, then Tech, then A&M moving forward, then Miami, then Ohio State, then Georgia.
Wow. I would have Ohio State higher on that list. I think Ohio State wants to pride themselves on not only football, but also basketball as well.
I mean, they had some great teams, but it's just been a while since they were.
And with a newer coach, you're gonna maybe try to put some money behind that to see some success. He came from Vanderbilt right before. Was coach.
Where did that Byington come from then? That's so good.
He's also from Vanderbilt. He's the newer.
I know, but I'm just saying, like before that, because I mean, he's the new flavor of the month club,
right?
He came from James. Man, that's what you do. It doesn't matter what sport. Go find a coach from James Madison.
There you go.
Because those dudes are great at hiring. They hired Byington from Georgia Southern. James Madison did.
Mm-hmm.
He goes 4 years at James Madison, and he's got Vandy looking really good. Vandy barely lost that game to. That was a tough loss. Who did Vandy lose to? That was a tough loss.
That was Nebraska.
They could have easily won that game.
Yep.
This guy almost became the head coach at UNC. You know why he's not? Because they can't quite stand in basketball having a name like Byington, having a name that people don't really recognize that much. It's very hard for them to go that route. Okay, what else do you have? I like that one. Yeah.
So Josh Pate, my bad, had a take on. He wanted to restructure the college football calendar, and I wanted to get your take on what the outcome would be from his perspective.
I would like to move week 1 to what week 0 currently is. So instead of that last Labor Day weekend, sometimes it's the last weekend in August, first weekend in September. Instead of Labor Day weekend being week 1, we need to move week 1 to when week 0 is, because I need to buy myself some room on the back end. Rivalry week, because of that, would be the week before Thanksgiving instead of Thanksgiving week. So your Ohio State Michigans, your Iron Bowls, we're getting all of those done, and your regular season is done the week before Thanksgiving, which leads to a revolutionary Thanksgiving weekend. Because on that Thanksgiving weekend, it's where step 2 comes into play. We're going to have conference championship games. We're just going to have them Thanksgiving weekend instead of the week after Thanksgiving. We have a big problem in this sport right now. Bowl season has been rendered largely irrelevant compared to what it used to be, which is ridiculous. So I'm taking the shot panels, I'm rubbing them together, whatever that gel is in between, putting them on the chest of bowl season. Clear, boom, bowl season's back. Here's what I would like to do. I'd like to take 6 bowls. Don't particularly care which ones they are. Let's just call it the Citrus Bowl and the Pop-Tart Bowl, Cheez-It Bowl, etc. And I would like to take 6 bowls, either that Friday after Thanksgiving or that Saturday. You guys can choose because we got conference championship games to play as well. And I would like to have a 13th game, essentially, for a bunch of teams. I would like to do it basically where take all the teams that are going to play in conference championship games, take them off the board. They're already preoccupied. But this is what it would have looked like this year. My Pop-Tart Bowl is Oregon versus Houston. My Cheez-It Bowl is Ole Miss versus Michigan. I've got A&M, Arizona. I've got Oklahoma, USC. I've got Texas versus Utah. I've got Notre Dame versus Vanderbilt. These are bowl games. They are also college football playoff data points. These games count because the day after, that Saturday, that is Selection Sunday. Round 1 of the college football playoff on campus is held the first Saturday in December. Round 2 of the college football playoff, held on campus, is held the second Saturday in December. Round 3, finally going to kick it to a neutral site, only because I think I have to. I don't want to. That's the third Saturday in December. And then we break for Christmas, and our national championship game is held New Year's Day. And we crown a national champion, and the season's over, and step 6 is immediately after that. I don't even care in which order you do this. You have signing day, and you have your transfer portal window, and wrap that thing up in a couple of weeks, and then spring semester is here, and everyone can go kick their feet up and take a little vacation.
What do you think?
I think the radical part of it is turning those bowl games into the data point, because in a sense you're trying to replace the conference title games with sort of these weird bowl games. I think
he's not the first one to actually suggest that. Gruden also said the same thing, that it sort of is a backwards unfair advantage to the teams that don't have to play the conference championships. They get an extra bye week.
Well, wait, so he's not eliminating the conference championships with this plan?
Right. He's saying conference championships happen as is, and then these other teams still have to play sort of as a play-in kind of style bowl game. It would eliminate the controversy over Notre Dame, Miami from this year.
What did he say was the big revolutionary thing that they were going to do with, instead of rivalry week would be 1 week sooner, but the following week he said, and this will be revolutionary. What did he say about that?
Well, that's where the bowl games actually count for something, and you kind of reinvigorate meaning into them. But then the calendar was basically you shift forward 1 week at the start of the year. That allows you to end on January 1st, New Year's Day, in your national championship game.
Okay.
I think the biggest struggle here is what that does competing with the NFL calendar, especially Thanksgiving, as the NFL continues to take over all of that. But I like the fact that all the games happen on campus in the playoff. I think that's good. It provides a good traditional
first 2 rounds, right?
Right. I would.
Third round you go to a neutral site.
Yeah, he didn't mention anything about expanding the playoff or anything like that. So I would assume he means that you would still have those first 4 byes, but they would get a home game rather than their first game be a neutral site.
I gotcha. Yeah. I like ideas. I like people throwing things out. Now, what'll happen is, like a lot of things, there'll be reasons that people come out and go, can't do this, can't do that. This is why you can't do that. Those bowls won't work like that. I will also tell you, don't ever underestimate the bowl executives. When you start impacting, no matter how little or meaningless you think a bowl is, there are large salaries connected to these bowls and bowl executives, and these people are really good at making sure that their livelihoods do not go away.
Yeah.
So when you start doing these kinds of things, you certainly upset the apple cart of some of these bowls. But I like thinking about it.
I also think that
I'm gonna have to study it a little bit more.
The beginning of the week earlier is sort of somewhat revolutionary in itself, but also presents a different thing for the NFL, because if the NFL, although talk that is going into an 18-game schedule sounds like that's going to be happening at some point sooner rather than later, they are thinking about probably moving their season up, and so that actually then everything moves up in alignment a little bit more.
There's some of those Saturdays, by the way, in December where there's still a law that you can't put an NFL game in. That's still on the books. You know, there's almost no rules with that anymore because they try to have it like almost every day, right? If they could.
Yep.
But until a certain time in December, which I believe is right around December 20th or maybe Christmas, you cannot put a NFL game on a Saturday. And that does protect that's an old TV rule. It's been on the books for a long, long time. And I need to refamiliarize myself with that because, you know, we're seeing when there's a chance to make more money. If the NFL needed to change that law, believe me, they would spend every amount of money to do that. The good news is, Kev, we could play a game a week earlier in Texas. And It could be like 120 out there. Kick that thing off at 6 or 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then it'd be about 110. About on the field, it'd probably be more like 130.
Yeah.
And teams will enjoy the heck out of that. Now, Baylor opens this year, I believe, in Atlanta in an indoor stadium. All right. That's what is that? Mercedes-Benz? Is it still Mercedes-Benz? So that won't matter as much. But if you bumped it up, you would have that game on August 25th, and then that'd be 0 week, and week 1 would be the 1st or the 2nd or whatever, right? Okay. I like that, Kev. Very, very. I'm going to watch my clock here because we're going to have a guest, Bryce Cherry. Sports editor of the Trib is going to stop by, and we got a few things to discuss with him because he actually really monitored the Crown and all that, and he and I will have a nice discussion. Kev, that'll happen at around 2:30. We'll give him a couple of minutes because he's in a big time, I don't know what they do over there now, some kind of big sport news meeting, and he has to be there because he is the sports editor of the great Waco Trib.
Well, there is this thing that we kind of need to talk about.
Ooh, is it time? Oh yeah, and I may bring this up with him too, but yeah. After having some text exchanges with you, I'm a little bit fearful here. No, I know, I'm just playing with you, but this was the big story. It's good and bad. You say, well, it's taken away from the games. It took away from this great effort by South Carolina. Okay. I mean, that game wasn't as bad as I love some of these. Acott, is that her name? There's one girl I love for you, South Carolina. I mean, just shot like I like Tess. I like Tess. There's some Raven. There's some players from South Carolina I really like, and I like some of the UConn players too. They weren't ready to go. They looked like Arizona out there. It's like, hey, South Carolina put it on them. But, you know, Kev, this is Friday when this was happening. And this overshadowed a lot. It's almost good that it overshadowed UT against UCLA. I don't know what happened to the poor old Horns. Kevin, the other day I bragged on Madison Booker like crazy. I love her. I love her game. I guess they just put together a wonderful plan. Madison Booker went 3 for 23. Whoa, it was bad. I think she got a couple of those buckets late. It was so bad. And she's a great player. But this overshadowed everything. Now, Kevin, do you have the highlight of it, or are we just going to stick with the deal? All right, it's okay. That's okay. Because the build up to it, the optics were horrible because Gino, and again, I don't even want to get into man screaming at a woman or whatever. I mean, again, these are big time, huge coaches, and we believe in equality and not like the man can't talk to the woman like that. No, we're not getting into any of that. If you're mad, you're mad. If the woman's mad at the man, get after it. If the man, but the reason to me it looked bad, Kevin, is because UConn got its rears handed to them. They're having a post-game handshake, and boom, all of a sudden, Gino makes a point. It's not the normal what we're used to, Kev, where they just kind of come on, move on right past you. You know, say a little handshake and move on. They don't have to be best friends, but keep that line moving. Gino gets after Don Staley about something. Don, who played at Virginia, by the way, Kev, I'd kind of forgotten that recently. She's a great player at Virginia. UVA fired its coach after making it to the Sweet 16. I don't know why these things happen, but Coach Staley got after him in a big way. And you go, and some people might be like, she didn't need to do that. She shouldn't have reacted like that. You know what? I mean, if somebody comes at you. So anyway, it did overshadow. Who caused this to happen? Well, now there's where it gets really interesting, because my thought would be, well, Gino did. Gino could have just said good game and moved on. But Kevin, we now know that there was something like when they're doing introductions and Gino was waiting for Coach Staley maybe to come over and do like the pregame greeting. Now she says, hey, I shook his hand. I went and shook every coach's hand before the game. I don't think that's what Gino was talking about. I think Gino's talking to closer to tip-off.
I think this is actually like during a warm-up kind of thing.
That's
is a normal kind of coach thing.
But see, she did shake everybody's hand, including his.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's talking about another time when maybe he felt like he was left hanging by Coach Staley. I wish they could have handled this privately. They did not. Now, Kev, you saw the apology from Gino. He did not apologize to her. He apologized to the staff, for how he handled it. It was fine. I didn't think it was the greatest apology in the world because it really was a one-on-one thing. If you feel bad and if you think you should apologize, say it to Coach Staley. He did not. He said, I apologize to their fan, blah, 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 to their staff. It was just not a good look at all, especially to me, it was beneath like the greatest coach, men or women, of all time. What about John Wooden? What about Pitino? What about come on. I mean, if you just look at the numbers, it's Gino, baby. It's Gino. I mean, sometimes you got to be bigger. Now, Kev, in that moment, like what was your immediate response? Either when you witnessed it live or you watched it. Did you immediately think, I think as the news hounds that we are, it's kind of interesting and it is big news and it's something we needed to talk about today. Did you think of it like that? Or did you think bad Gino, bad Don? What was your initial thought on this?
My initial thought was, wow, she really, really came after him. Like, it didn't seem that her reaction reciprocated well to what little he may have started it, but so now I relate it to this, right? In the NFL, it's never the first instance that gets flagged, it's the retaliation, right? Her retaliation was much more severe than his initial, I guess, how he initiated it, right? And so I don't understand why the media thinks, or we think, that he owes her an apology and not it be reciprocated the same way. And I think that obviously there are two sides to every story. We don't know what was said. We don't know how it was said in their little space to escalate it to that point. But my initial appearance was, man, she reciprocated way harder than it looked like to begin with.
My whole take on that, and maybe it's my time in law school, and I almost think of like the old fruit of the vine. There's an old saying about like what caused what, and I'll go back to something you were just kind of talking about. I the reason I don't really have that big of an issue with how she responded to it is because like she was minding her own business. She did not like say anything cocky or arrogant, or she literally was in the mind space of, we just won a huge game and I'm going to do what I've done a million times and I'm going to go shake everybody's hand. And she got, whoa. And I've had it happen to me. It just different places. Maybe it's even, I've had people, even some of like kind of shockingly, you think, Kev, like when I'm out or something, or if somebody recognizes me or whatever, that there wouldn't be any weirdness like that. People just kind of laugh, or maybe they make a joke. But I have had those moments, and maybe it's from playing years and years of basketball and stuff, but I've had some moments where somebody kind of came at me, and it takes you a second. And I think why I maybe lean her way is because I think I'm wired more like her. Like, I'm pretty easygoing, but if I suddenly like kind of get surprised or suddenly feel wronged, man, I'm coming back at you hard. I'm pretty laid back, though. I'm not like going out trying to start it for the most part. I don't really feel like I do that. But if you're coming at me suddenly and you surprise me a little bit, I may go a little bit too hard back. So maybe I'm identifying with her a little more in this thing. I don't know.
I think the difference between you and I is we don't make millions of dollars and are put on that kind of stage in that instance to make sure that we handle that more appropriately.
Yeah, but we all would like to think that we would, and that we wouldn't. It wouldn't. I mean, again, because of what you're talking about, though, because she too, because they're the greatest at what they do. They're both top. He's the best ever. She's in the top 5 of all time, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
We expect sort of a level of decorum, like, but the truth is, hey, has Coach K ever kind of thrown a fit over there or gotten mad at I saw him one time lose it with the Duke crowd over something, his own crowd. So let's not act like, oh, Gino or Don are the first like legends to ever sort of lose it a little bit. I mean, in some ways we still to this day celebrate Bob Knight for all that anger and all that stuff. It's like, okay, we don't it's and it ended up eventually finally getting him fired.
Yep.
Because he was a bully and all those things. He was also one of the greatest coaches of all time. But we got to where, so we have to watch it too sometimes, because we're like, oh, wait, I don't think we should look at it ever this thing of like, how should the man act? How should the woman? I think we have to look at these things as these are great coaches at a high level, and here is probably how they should act. After,
and then ironically, neither one of them got it done.
They did not.
UCLA. Which leads us then to
a woman who said recently that Corey Close was saying something about like she doesn't know how much longer she can do this, or almost kind of like there was something that made me think, ooh, I wouldn't want my coach saying that. And boy, she just went out and won a national title. So there goes that theory. She's awesome, man. What's that meme or whatever, or the where did that come from? Where somebody says, I wasn't familiar with your work or something. That's kind of how I feel about Corey. I know they're great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. It's not like I hadn't heard of UCLA. And I remember, I think Baylor had to play them either this year or last year or something. Dang, she can coach. And one of these teams tried to hire her a few years ago. And I wish I could remember. And I was thinking to myself, dang, they should have hired her. They decided to go a different direction. Now I can't think who it is. All right, we're got a guest coming up. Kev, good stuff. Did you have one more thing?
Yeah, we got to talk about who you got for tonight. Michigan 6.5-point favorite over UConn tonight.
Let me jump out of the Bryce thing early and let's do that. Let's do our picks, and I'll get out of it by 50. And you and I'll have about 5-6 minutes to explore that. Okay.
All righty.
And because I do want to get your thoughts on that. And the great thing about watching all this hoops is now we think we know these teams. Kevin, you've watched more Big Ten, so I think you're more familiar than most. But now we all feel like experts because we've watched these teams so much. Here's what I would not do. How could you ever bet against UConn? I know Michigan's awesome. This is why I don't gamble. How could you possibly go up to a betting window and bet against UConn, given what we've seen and given that coach? But again, Dusty May is awesome. This is one of the most awesome coaching matchups since like Coach K and Roy recently, or was that Coach K and Hubert, actually, if you think about it, at the end of Coach K's time. This is an awesome coaching matchup. All right, we got to take a break. And then Bryce Cherry joins us from the Waco Trib next.
Enjoy a quiet atmosphere with beautiful river views at the Brazos Landing, located in Waco along the Brazos River across from McLean Stadium. Enjoy homemade dishes like shrimp and grits, chicken piccata, braised short ribs, prime New York steaks, and more. Plus, enjoy a delicious dessert like creme brulee or key lime pie. Open for lunch and dinner Tuesday through Sunday. Brazos Landing in Waco, the only place where I-35 and the Brazos River meet.
This year, I made a New Year's resolution. I want every business to own a new copier from CTWP. Call me, Leroy the Copier Dog. Let's get you a copier delivered today. CTWP, your local copier company.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3. 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you.
Lake Waco Golf Club is a semi-private facility nestled along the north point of Lake Waco, one of the few facilities in Texas to have a full 18-hole regulation golf course as well as an executive 18-hole par 3 golf course. Plus, check out their bar and grill, which is open to the public. And if you're not a golfer, then enjoy time by the pool or even enjoy fishing around Lake Waco. Become a member today and call to book your tee time. Lake Waco Golf Club, where family and friends fun begins. Check them out at lakewacogc.com for more information.
For over 2 decades, I've come to Allen Samuels shop, especially for trucks, because I've been very satisfied with the performance of those trucks. I think the strengths of Allen Samuels is obviously in their customer service and obviously taking care of your vehicle after the sale.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
At Schmaltz Sandwich Shop, we don't just make sandwiches, we build them with fresh ingredients, bold flavors, and homemade baked bread every single day. Toasty on the outside, goodness on the inside. Schmaltz Sandwich Shop in Waco is locally owned and operated since 1975 with 2 locations in Waco, Town West off Valley Mills and downtown off 5th Street. Whether it's lunch, dinner, or just a craving, we got the perfect bite waiting for you.
It is Mosley. And when this man is in the newsroom or he steps out of a major newsroom meeting, you just come straight out of commercial and you say, hey, we will take care of our people and we'll take care of them a little later. It is time for Bryce Cherry to enter into the Mosley Show. And Bryce, good to see you.
Matt, how are you doing?
Okay, I'm okay. I just got to thinking today. I was thinking about all this UNC, and about right after I reached out to you, the news breaks that Mike Malone is going to be the new coach at UNC. I just saw another report. I'm sure you've seen the same thing that Scott, had Matt Norlander, I believe from CBS, says that Scott was actively engaged at one point, or perhaps his agent with UNC, but ultimately decided he wanted to stay in Waco. I sort of think that's a good reminder for fans, isn't it, Bryce, that a column even you wrote recently, like that Scott really deserves the kind of lifetime contract treatment that we all sort of believe, but they've had this one really bad season, and there was a lot of grumbling that was going on. I think it was kind of nice almost for Scott's name to appear with the UNC to kind of remind maybe Baylor's own fans, like, this guy has an incredible track record and he has a great standing among coaches, his peers, other ADs. I don't know if you had that same thought, Bryce, but I kind of thought it was maybe a helpful reminder to Baylor fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way I may have phrased it in the column was that, don't take this guy for granted, Baylor fans. Yes, it's been a down year, one that by Drew's own standards, isn't up to what they've come to expect. Obviously, first time not in the NCAA tournament in 8 years. They're used to being there. They're used to being a pretty high seed. And obviously, it was just 5 years ago that you win a national championship. Maybe a lot of Baylor fans thought that would be the start of, some kind of a dynasty or something. Well, that's really hard to do. I mean, give it up for UConn for, having a chance to get 3 and 4 years, because to me, in men's college basketball, the parity is thick, man. I mean, and there's so much that changes from year to year with the transfer portal. And so if you're able to, to kind of go on the kind of run that Hurley's team has done, that's an anomaly. But back to Baylor, I think if you're Scott Drew, when these big time programs like Louisville and Kentucky and North Carolina express interest, it makes sense to kick the tires and do your due diligence. And because one, it shows that it shows your current employers that just how much you're thought of around the country. And sometimes you can get a little something out of that. You can leverage that. I mean, that's what you mentioned his agent. That's what those agents are there to do, is to get him a better deal. And, but also I just think if it ever did go south here at Baylor, I mean, it's nice to have pretty good options to go to. So ultimately, Scott's sticking around. That's great for Baylor. I think it's great for Scott. Honestly, he's built this program to be what he wants it to be, and I'm not sure the culture of joy would play as well everywhere around the country as it does in Waco.
You don't think the Tar Heels were ready for that is kind of the Bible Belt around there. They might have.
That's true. I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm a native North Carolinian. I was born in North Carolina, but I got to Texas as fast as possible. So I've been here most of my life.
Rooting for Duke or UNC with, the fact you were born in that state, are you drawn to one of those programs or not too much?
Probably a little more UNC than Duke. I have visited both of them just on trips and visits to North Carolina. I still have family in North Carolina. My dad lives in Winston-Salem. So, probably a little more Tar Heel than Duke. Everybody hated Duke back in the 90s. I mean, you couldn't like Christian Laettner and those guys.
Yeah, that was a rough crew for sure. And I can't help but think about this hire though they made, a big time NBA coach, Mike Malone from the Nuggets. It's just, on one hand, it gives them the big name and the kind of the gravity, the gravitas, whatever, like that you want. They probably didn't love the thought of like Byington, even though that guy's a really good coach. It probably seemed beneath them as this ultimate blue blood. It's like either one of us or somebody that's really, really big. And
Right.
I guess if Billy Donovan's not going to take this job, I guess he's just never coming back to college. But he would have made, honestly, a lot more sense than Malone, who hasn't coached at the college level since about, I think, 2001 or something like that. I'm trying to think of a major college NBA person that returned or decided to go to the college level and won big. It's hard to think of, because generally, if you're having success at the NBA level, you don't ever leave it. Donovan's never come back, and so it's hard to think of somebody.
I agree. It is hard. It has been tried before, and generally, it's such a different game in a lot of ways, but obviously with recruiting and the way you assemble your team. Now, maybe it's, it's becoming a little more similar just because, I called it several years ago now. I mean, college free agency, that's what we've sort of reached with the transfer portal. And obviously, their kids are being paid now. They have contracts. So it is a little closer to the NBA game. And so maybe you'll see this more often now. I don't know. But to me, the example that really translates the best is the fact that North Carolina has an NFL coach as their college football coach. I mean, and Bill Belichick. So maybe they're just looking to raid. Maybe they'll go into the major leagues for their next baseball coach. Who knows?
Just don't call him Mike. He does not like to be called Mike.
Yeah, Michael Malone. Michael Malone.
His dad was Brendan Malone. He's. I mean, I don't know. I think they will come out and throw some haymakers, and they're going to give him a bunch of money. And that's the thing. The new coach always gets this big pot of money, and we'll see. And I mean, we've seen in basketball, you can turn it in a hurry. What do you think? The Crown the other day, I didn't want to make too much of that. They lost to OU 82-69. My thought was kind of, who really cares? I was glad. It's not like I didn't want to see them do well. It was nice that they all still wanted to play together. I think Scott wanted to get them some money. I thought that was, I think it was a cool, in some ways it was an okay opportunity, but I certainly don't think it was anything to like cry over, losing in the Crown. I guess in some ways it reminded you of what's gone wrong this season, just those long periods of time without scoring, kind of an offense. It's not always sustainable, right? When I mean, Cam Carr is awesome to watch. He's really fun, but like when the best chance of getting him going is him pulling up and trying to hit a contested jumper from 24, 25 feet, there's not a lot of people who can do that.
No, you're absolutely right. I think the fact that they go 1-1 in that event absolutely sort of showed the heights and the highs and lows of this season, sort of laid it out bare there in Vegas. I mean, they played pretty well against Minnesota. I think that was a matchup that aided Baylor, in terms of the Gophers playing sort of this slower pace and Baylor looking to push it. OU played more like Baylor and just outplayed the Bears. And, as you said, it didn't help that Cam had a rough shooting game. Tunde had a pretty rough shooting game. And yeah, absolutely. A lot of the problems that were issues throughout the season, came to a head again in that game, and the droughts that they would have offensively and sort of the lack of flow in the offense. I think Isaac Williams came a long way over the course of the year, but you also signed him to essentially be a backup, and he was not able to do that because, Obi Agbam really wasn't a true point guard, and had an okay year, but probably not the year that they wanted him to have. And so, Isaac's then sort of pushed into having to develop at a quicker rate. And, I can't help but make some parallels to my favorite NBA team, because the Rockets have been without a point guard all season. And there's been many, many times where it's like, boy, they could really use a point guard right now. Fred VanVleet would really come in handy. I think that's one thing that Scott will need to address. Clearly, it was their plan to bring Robert Wright back and build around him. And so we know where it all, sort of unraveled. But it'll be interesting. This is a big, I think you've talked about it, but this is a big offseason for Scott and the Bears for sure. I mean, and transfer portal opens tomorrow. You've already got a lot of reports about who's planning to jump into the portal and that kind of thing. And so it'll be a busy, next few weeks.
What position do you think? I think he's got to get back to getting a bunch of high quality guards around him, but you can't help but watch like Michigan and Illinois and these teams without thinking about all that size. And you can't dial it up and just go, we want all those Michigan guys, right? But it is wild that some of these great players now come from unlikely places. That story of Yaxel Lindeborg, like being at like a JUCO or somewhere, like, hey, I just love the opportunity. Could I stop by? And then he was the Big Ten Player of the Year. Players somehow are still overlooked, but then they get there. When you think about, okay, what does Scott need to get back to? What are the areas, because they do have Isaac coming back. And by the way, do you think Cam or Tunde, from what you're hearing, I kind of think they need to approach this as if they're not going to have either player. Do you have a thought on what those guys might do?
I've talked to them both, and of course, both of them have said in past interviews where, we'll make a decision after the season is over. Well, now it's over, but I would, all along, my thought was that both of those guys would probably declare for the draft, just because if you're projected as a first round pick, a lot of times that's hard to turn down. Now, I am on record as saying I think both of them would benefit from coming back, especially in a deep draft class this year, a very deep draft class, where you're not likely to crack into the lottery because of just the talent at the top. And if you came back and sort of, if Cam Carr came back and maybe added 10 to 15 pounds of muscle and worked on some of those flaws in his game that you mentioned, and same for Tunde. I mean, Tunde's already got the NBA body, but if he worked on some of the things that he needs to work on, especially on defense, Tunde, I think that's where we saw some lapses throughout the year. So would they be able to maybe jump into the lottery? I think that there's absolutely that possibility. And guess what? You get paid now in college. So it's not like you're coming back for no money. And Baylor would have to figure that out from a budgetary standpoint. But boy, if you bring back Tunde and Cam, I mean, you talk about a foundation now, with Tunde and Cam and Isaac and Elijah Williams coming in, and the red shirts that they've got, to see those guys on the court and what they might do. I think they're kind of projects, but at the same time, I think they're excited about the chance to finally see Iguodala and Jocelyn Bodo, who they obviously signed to be the starting center, guys like that. So that would be a great foundation. But to your question, my guess is they probably go to the NBA, Cam and Tunde. But I'm not ruling out a return. I'm not ruling it out.
All right. Yeah, I tried to ask Scott about those guys you were just like that. I think his name is So Mayo, and then Iguodala and Bodo. And sadly, I was like, well, because I thought it'd offer fans hope to hear like you would in the old days, like how great some of those players maybe look in practice, like, hey, how are those guys looking? And Scott didn't even want to bite on that because how competitive it is. He didn't really want to be out there on the record saying, oh my gosh, these guys are awesome in practice, right?
Yeah, these coaches wear that stuff close to their vest, man.
Yeah, I thought I was like, hell, I'm like, let's give the fans something here, and even that. Yeah, and the women's program is at a major crossroads too, with the passing of the torch and Bugs moving on. I mean, they just, I don't know, that program right there. Hopefully they can reload, but both programs are going to need money. Obviously, sort of what the breakdown's been in the past, but now the starting, I almost feel like you need like $10 million for a roster. Like it's not, and of course, some people are probably going way over that. But if you're Baylor and you're trying to leverage also, hey, this is an incredible place and we will develop you as a person, all that's fine, right? I think all that's true. And some players make their decision on some of that. But it's still, a lot of it is cold, hard cash, right?
Absolutely.
Does that seem like a reasonable, like when I say about 10 to 12 million for this Baylor roster, don't you think that's about what it takes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it takes. I think I saw, I'm trying to remember where I read it now, but it was a coach who said something to that effect, that basically, if you're going to compete in the Power 4 conference, that 10, 12 million, I think 12 million is maybe the number I heard, but is what you've got to spend. And yeah, I think a lot of fans hear that and they're a little still sort of alarmed. At this point, it just sort of rolls. It's all monopoly money to me because, it just doesn't feel real sometimes, but it is a real thing. And obviously something that Baylor has to figure out. And are they able to pony up and make that happen? I mean, it's kind of a question for Doug McNamee too. I mean, but you know, you have to have the support and the boosters that are, you know, willing to give and make that happen. I think, you know, given how much Baylor has sort of invested in basketball, I think they'll probably step up to the offering plate and make it happen.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that. They were passionate the other day, yesterday at my church on Easter, and I saw like a lot more cash come through than usual.
Yeah, I'm the at our church at our early service. I'm the I guess the head of the ushers. You know, I round up all the guys together, and then I go with one of the ministers to the back room, and we put the money in the safe, and it was a lot more yesterday on Easter Sunday. So
where did you remember where Charles Dixon used to be? And Jerry went over there. Was it Western? Was that called Western Heights back in the day? I went there when I was in law school, and they put me in charge of like some ushering and some of that stuff. And the only problem was you needed to kind of get there early for some of those duties. And you know, that's not a strength of mine. But Dr. Dixon was extremely gracious about not getting on to me and that kind of thing. But I remember there was at least a couple of Waco Trib guys that were members over there. And I think they were in the process of getting like a praise team, you know, kind of going over to that whole thing, the contemporary worship, which, I still avoid, by the way. I'm still traditional.
Yeah, I'm old school. We don't use the hymn book, but I still love a good old hymn. So
yeah. Who do you have tonight? Who do you have winning tonight?
I'll take Michigan. I had Arizona in my bracket, full disclosure, but I think I said it in some interview, maybe with Barfield, that it wouldn't surprise me if Michigan won, and it did surprise me maybe with how handily they beat Arizona the other day. But man, to me, those two all season long, Michigan and Arizona were like the two of two. You know, I mean, they were I thought that was the national championship game the other day. You know, can you count UConn out? No, but man, Michigan's playing really, really good. They're a buzzsaw.
I'm very scared to bet against UConn right now, though, because it just feels like house money, the experience, the Hurley factor, all of that. Although Dusty May, isn't that crazy? Like, we think about how things have changed. FAU could put together a good enough roster to get into the Final Four. Right? By the way, San Diego State did. I mean, they had that unbelievable team as well. And just a few years later, it feels like there's no way that could happen. Like there's zero way an FAU or San Diego State or whoever could make that run.
Yeah.
That's how much to me it's changed just in the past, 2, 3, 4 years.
It's sad because I think one of the things we've always loved about March Madness is the Cinderella stories and the Butlers and all of those programs that George Mason made it one year. You know, I mean, so yeah, I think it is much harder because of the NIL thing. I think guys at those levels, they go for a time and then they, try to level up. They try to make it to the next level so that they can perhaps help their NBA chances or get paid more. So yeah, I agree. It's tougher. Is it impossible? Man, weird things happen, but we have seen the last 2 seasons that it's pretty much been chalk.
Yeah. It would have been impossible for us to think Indiana could become what they did in football. So, but then again, they're starting from a Power 4 platform, but still, they just spent 100 years in obscurity, and it's like, oh, now they've got the best coach in the country and the best team. Bryce, thank you, man. On short notice, I just got to thinking today and was about to do the show, and I was like, man, I'd like to talk to Bryce today. So thank you. And hope y'all had a good sports meeting. Hope you've laid out a really excellent week of coverage. I'm a subscriber, at the Waco Trib. So I'll be monitoring, and we'll be excited about the baseball and softball playoffs coming up, local high schools, and all of those things that'll be happening in Central Texas. Thank you, Bryce.
Appreciate it. I'll give a quick plug to a story you can read later today, and then also in the paper tomorrow. The Texas Sports Hall of Fame banquet's coming up, and we're going to induct the 1966 Texas Western Miners, first team ever to make it. Got a chance to talk to Neville Shedd the other day. That was really cool. And so, I'll have the 66 Miners story coming soon.
Love it. And a lot of us have seen the movie, and we know the history and a very amazing thing. So we'll be anxiously awaiting that story. All right. And maybe take it out from behind the paywall. No, I'm kidding. I pay. All right. There he goes. Bryce Cherry on the Matt Mosley Show. Always fun to have him on. And I tell you what, Kev, let's go straight to it. Let's look at tonight's game. Well, first, Kev, Cooper Flagg. Oh my gosh. He does something again. There's some thought, should he or Con Knippel win the Rookie of the Year? And then he has responded with just this monster. Like, of course, he picked up where Luka left off, not just Luka in Dallas, Luka in what he was doing with the Lakers. And so the Mavs and the Lakers hooked up the other night, and like LeBron became like the oldest, whatever he is, 41-year-old to score 30. And Cooper became the youngest player to score 50 since I'm trying to think how far we got to go back. It was just remarkable.
So last night was the only time, I believe, a teenager and a 40-year-old plus have scored over 30 both in the same game.
Wow. And it's awesome to watch. And Kev, the Mavs are not supposed to be winning games. All right. They need to remind themselves one game's fine, but they need to get back to losing games. But it does let fans kind of dream about wherever Cooper's going to go, Kyrie coming back, PJ, the whole game. And then whoever they take in the draft, they could pick 6 or 7. They're probably going to get a great player. Get somebody in here, play a little point, get Darius Acuff Jr., bring him in, and it's going to be awesome. It'll be get Darren Peterson in here. He may only play 40 games, but they've had players like that. It'd be like Anthony Davis coming back. I'm sorry, too soon. All right, Kev, let's put it up there. Let's give our picks for tonight. There it is. Right there in downtown Indianapolis.
That's right.
Not far from where Kevin spent a lot of his childhood.
I spent a lot of my childhood, or I guess it wouldn't have been childhood. Childhood would have been a little bit further to the other direction in the Hoosier Dome. But, yeah, I've been to a fair amount of games in that building.
Yeah. And tonight, the Huskies and the Michigan Wolverines get it on. And Kev, I want you give your prediction. Now, what's the line? Did you take a peek at the latest line?
Yes, Michigan 6.5.
By the way, the Brazos Landing, will be there on the 15th. Come see us. Chance to see us right there in person. Always good to be at the Landing. Thank you, Claude. Thank you, Becky, Lindsay. We love you guys. We will be with you soon. All right. At the Landing, the Brazos Landing. Ooh, I could use the BLT this afternoon. I just need, I need some sustenance. Okay. Kev, what do you have? What did you say the line was? Say it again.
6.5. Okay. 6.5 to Michigan.
Michigan by 6.5. Boy, that makes Hurley mad. He hated the fact that they were not favored because they had beaten who in the
Duke.
The last game out. The against the Illini. That bothered him that Illinois was favored. He's like, hey, I thought we beat them, by like 13 points or whatever early in the season. He was troubled with that, with those picks. And so I would, I'm going to wait on mine. Because that makes me want to go to a betting window. What would you bet, knowing Michigan's favored by 6.5? And how do you see this thing playing out?
I, like you, am not a betting man. I can't bring myself to do it. But I will say this. I'll give you a scenario that if Michigan is going to win the game, that they're going to have to win it by 6.5 or more. The injuries, how much Lindenborg can go bother me against UConn. Although, what were they able to do against my pick for the national championship? Like, they did it against Arizona, but it's a different animal going against Hurley in this game. And so I think if it is 6.5 or lower, I would give it to UConn. I think UConn has enough oomph in the tank to get it over the top, even if they're behind and they keep it close late. But if it's going to be more of a blowout, I think Michigan has it. I don't see Michigan losing this one, in my opinion.
So wait, but you didn't really drill down on it. Do you have UConn covering the 6.5 or not?
No.
Okay, you got Michigan. You got Michigan.
I have
covering,
Michigan.
And you think because you gave so many scenarios, you didn't really give us the actual pick. Michigan to win, Michigan to cover is what Kevin is going with. Man, I think Dusty May's ready. I mean, he brought FAU. There's something to the old theory, Kevin, about knocking on the door. You got to knock before you knock it down. He's back with a different team, different school. By the way, I thought that was cool of Juwan Howard to be there. He could have like had still some bitter feelings and all that. And he showed up and did the stuff with the Fab Five. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought, you know what, get over yourself and you still love your school. I thought that was kind of cool that they did that, and I liked some of that. I didn't watch it, the Altcast, but I did watch some of one of their interviews that I thought was kind of fun. Give me UConn to cover the 6.5, Michigan to win.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, so it's
going to be a good game.
I do think so. I do think it will. And I mean, the Disney version would be Mullins or maybe Caravan, but Mullins getting another, game winner, or Michigan being the team that hits the game winner. And if it was Michigan, I think it'd probably be Lindenberg, although this McKinney has my attention. Hello, buddy. Man, there's some players on that team for Michigan that I didn't totally know. Number 4, another dude that comes in that's just like, God, they're so good. And I got this memory of us finding out they were going to be missing a player and how much that was going to hurt them. You remember that about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this guard, he's a good player. But, oh, my gosh, I cannot believe we were worried about that guy. He's fine. But they're they're awesome. The way these Big Ten teams build their teams, Illinois was stacked. Michigan is flat out stacked. I don't care that they got beat. I don't care that Illinois got beat. The way they build that team, is with internationals and so much freaking size. Stojakovic is 6'7", but he plays kind of like he does not. His dad was one of the greatest shooters of all time. He is not his dad, but he is dang good.
Yeah.
He can get in there and get Merkowitz can do the same thing. Merkowitz can get in there and they just could not finish. They were fine. They were as good a team, but unfortunately, man, they picked the wrong night to have a bad shooting night.
Yep.
All right, Kev, appreciate you today, buddy. Been a long day on a couple of fronts, but the show must go on. All right, that's what we do here. That's what we do here on the Mosley Show. Very appreciative to Kevin for all his preparations today. Bryce Cherry joining us. We think we may have the great Gary Patterson tomorrow, the new defensive coordinator at USC. I'm kind of excited about that one. And then Wednesday, Mitch Thompson. This Baylor baseball team is on a roll right now. So we may have, I know we're going to have Mitch. We're going to have Mitch at about 1:30 on Wednesday. All right. That is the Matt Mosley Show. Everybody have a great one. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
The Riesel Fair is back and bigger than ever. Bring the whole family for a day packed with fun, from thrilling rides, delicious food, local vendors, and live music Friday night. Saturday music begins at 2 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, 2 to 12 years, $3. 2 and under are free. Mark your calendar and join us for the Riesel Fair, May 7th through 9th. The Riesel Fair, where memories are waiting just for you.
This year, I made a New Year's resolution. I want every business to own a new copier from CTWP. Call me, Leroy the Copier Dog. Let's get you a copier delivered today. CTWP, your local copier company.
Central National Bank, this is Nikki. How may I help you?
Yes, can you please transfer me to the loan department?
You want to transfer?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, you can't transfer right now.
What?
Have a good day. Yes, how may I help you?
Hi, I would like to transfer money from my C&B account to another bank.
Absolutely not. No. Have a great day.
Wait, hold.
I'm on your website and I'm trying to find the link for your payment portal.
The portal is currently unavailable. Have a great day.
We've received a few complaints.
Correct. We no longer allow any outgoing transfers, only incoming.
But the good news is, no money is leaving the bank. Like, none.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.